Hi guys, Drwendydearborne here with a tutorial brought to you by Food Beyond Its Nutrition. Well guys, today we're going to be talking about how to roast vegetables. And what I want to do with you is share some of my tips, share some of my experiences so that you can take this. And if you follow me, you know guys, I'm all about choices. You have to do your own due diligence. So you can take this and put your own spin on it. Create what it is that you need to create for you and for your family. So once again, we're going to be talking about roasting vegetables. And there are three main points that I'm wanting you to take away from this. And of course, I'm going to do a demo on what I actually did, so you can see what I did. Really and truly, it's not a recipe, but it's just a technique. I'm showing you the technique. So there are three things that I am wanting you to take away from today's tutorial. When roasting vegetables, it's important to know the vegetable and vegetables that you are roasting. And what I mean by this is it's important to know whether the vegetables have a high water content or if they have a high starch content. If they're a root vegetable and need a longer cooking time, and if there's something like zucchini or summer squash, or a green, for instance, collard greens, mustard greens, something like that, if they need kale, if they need a shorter cooking time. So knowing the vegetable that you are roasting is vitally important. It is, guys, it is so important. And it's important in regard to cook time. Okay. Number two, size truly does matter. Now, if you are going to create a medley of vegetables, you're going to have all sorts of different vegetables that you want to roast. Size is really important. Even if you're cooking, say you're cooking potatoes, size matters. If you're just cooking potatoes, size matters because you want everything to come out cooked at the same time. If some of the potatoes are cut too small or cut smaller, they're going to cook quicker. And then the larger potatoes will take longer to cook. And so therefore, your cooking time is going to be off. Part of your meal will be done and the other part of it won't be done. So size really does matter. But I'm going to actually come back to that. The other thing is, guys, the oven needs to be hot. This is 425 degrees and or hotter. If you're using a convection oven, you might be able to get away with, say, 415 temperature with the convection oven. But even with that, the oven must be hot. And guys, here's the secret. Here's the secret tip. Preheat your cookie sheet, your baking tray, preheat it. Whatever you're going to roast your vegetables on, preheat that. So it comes up to the temperature of 425 degrees and or hotter. So when you actually put your vegetables to be roasted on this tray, on this pan, on this cookie sheet, it kind of sizzles. It gives a little sizzle. It gives a little sizzle and a little sear, and the process starts there. That has been a game changer for me. In addition to staggering the times in which I actually create staggering the times which I actually roast my vegetables. Now, as I said, size matters. Now, many people will say, you cook, say a medley of roast vegetables and they all need to be cut the same size so that they all finish cooking at the same time. Even that's not true. And I don't like my roast vegetables all to be the same sort of small dice. Sometimes I like my roast potatoes or some of the root vegetables to be cut larger and look more rustic. And then things like squash or even corn to be cut smaller. So what I do is I stagger the times, which is why it's important to know your vegetables and which vegetable is going to take the longest to cook. The vegetable with the least amount of water is going to take the longest to cook. So if you have something like beets, something like potatoes, swede, or I believe you call it rutabaga, turnips, and not the greens, turnips, carrots, you know, things like that. And then you have vegetables like squash that also can take some time cooking, especially if you leave the skin on and or off. That's a factor that needs to be factored in. And then you have things like zucchini that have a high water content that really don't take too much time to cook. You know, you've got carrots, and then you have something like Brussels sprouts, which depending on the size of the Brussels sprout can be somewhere in between. Again, I like varying sizes, and so therefore I stagger the cook time. And really and truly, outside of staying on top of that, it doesn't take much longer than if you do a whole medley of vegetables that are cut really small. So what I'm going to do is I am going to show you what I do in my kitchen when I roast some vegetables. And I have I've got some zucchini, I have summer squash. I'm looking at the picture here actually. I've got zucchini, I've got summer squash, I have some butternut squash, I have a yam, a sweet potato yam, carrot, parsnip, Brussels sprouts, those are the pearl onions. I've got some red pearl onions. I'm going to roast some garlic as well. I have potatoes, and I have three types of potatoes. I've got the white skin potatoes, and they're not Yukon potatoes. I think they are Dutch white potatoes. I've got a purple potato, and I've got a red skin potato. So I've got three types of potatoes. I also have some peppers, some sweet capsicums, the small ones, and yeah, if I didn't say beet, I put a golden beet on there and a parsnip on there as well. So guys, I'm going to show you what I do and how I do it. And again guys, it's important to remember that the three basic things to cooking successful vegetables are knowing, number one, what vegetables you're going to cook. 2, size matters, and for me that's all about staggering, so everything doesn't have to be a small square. Size matters, and the oven has to be hot, and the baking tray has to be hot, or the cooking tray has to be hot too. So okay guys, let's slide on over and take a look at the technique. Hi guys, Dr. Wendy Dearborne here with another episode of Food Beyond Its Nutrition. Well guys, today is a tutorial, and in the tutorial, as I said earlier, I'm going to show you what you need to do to roast vegetables. Now, as I said earlier, there are 3 requirements that are truly a must. You need to know what you are roasting, as in what is on your cutting board. You need to decide on a specific size that you want, because truly this can denote how long it needs to roast for. And the other thing is you really need, your oven needs to be hot, and the tray that you use, whether it is lined or not lined, whether you're using parchment paper or one of those silicone mats, everything has to be hot. When your vegetables are put onto the roasting tray, the cookie tray, whatever you're using, it needs to be the temperature that you're going to roast at. And we're going to be roasting at 425 degrees Fahrenheit. So that being said, I have decided that I had wanted squash, so I'm using butternut squash. I have here a carrot, I have some zucchini, and I've got some summer squash. And the zucchini and summer squash, let's put these over here actually. The zucchini and summer squash, along with the mini capsicums or peppers, they're considered to be soft vegetables, and they take the least amount of cooking time. Again, I have carrots, I have potatoes and a yam here, and I've got Brussels sprouts. I also have pearl onions, and in order to remove the skin from these, you blanch them in boiling water for two minutes or so, and they pop. Literally, you squeeze them and they pop right out the skin. And of course, I have some garlic here. I'm going to cut the end off and then immerse the garlic in some oil and allow it to cook while everything else is cooking. And this, actually, the garlic will go in when I put the potatoes in, because the potatoes will literally take the longest to cook. And because, guys, when you're roasting vegetables, people have this way where everything needs to be like a medium to small dice. Well, I might not want that. Actually, I don't like it like that, and that's being really honest. While I will cut the potatoes, as you will see, they will be uniform. They might be bigger than the carrots or bigger than the zucchini or smaller. I want to be able to dictate how I want the size of the squash. I don't want everything in a mini or a small dice. And this is why things have to go on in layers. You start out with the thing that takes the longest to cook, and you finish up with the softer vegetables that take less cooking time. I'm also going to use Szechuan pepper. I really love that. I actually toasted this and ground it up. I'm actually going to use some thyme leaves, some salt, and this is Himalayan salt. I'm also going to use some Italian seasoning. I'm going to use some black pepper, fresh ground black pepper, and I'm going to use a high smoke point oil. People do use olive oil for this. I prefer a high smoke oil. It's just who I am. You can use whatever you want, as in peanut oil, canola oil, vegetable oil. My favorite is avocado, but at this moment in time, I'm using grapeseed oil. Actually, this is a blend of grapeseed and canola oil, but it gives a nice high smoke point. And what I mean by that is that it can cook at a high temperature without the actual oil disintegrating, and really it starts to degenerate, if that's the word. But it starts going off. But that being said, guys, I'm going to wash, prep, and take care of all of this, and I will be back. Okay, guys, this is what I have left. I've cut everything, and I'm going to get ready to show you that right now. But this is the yellow squash, the summer squash. That's what's left of the carrot. That's what's left of the zucchini, the sweet potato or the yam. I actually put some parsnip in there. It wasn't on the cutting board to begin with, and that's what I've got left of the banana squash. So I really haven't used too much of those vegetables. Here's my mise en place. Okay, so I have everything in order, the way in which I want it to go into the oven. And I spoke about the garlic, and here's the garlic. You have to be really careful when you cut it. I want it to stand up so that it's actually immersed in the oil. And I'm going to roast it as the same time that I do the potatoes. I also added some beets, and I laughed because I had a conversation with a girlfriend yesterday, and she's like, beets, it ain't happening. It doesn't matter how you try to disguise it, it's not happening. So I'm actually going to put in the potatoes, the sweet potatoes, and the beets. I'm going to put these all in together. And in truth and honesty, the purple potatoes, white potatoes, red skin potatoes, and the beets could all go in at the same time. And then maybe about 5 minutes after, these sweet potatoes can go in, because these are actually going to cook up a little bit before those. But for today, I'm going to put them all in. So I'm going to put everything in a bowl that is squash. I'm going to put everything in a bowl, And I'm going to season it up. I'm going to put some oil on it. Okay. And guys, it turns out to be so much. I'm going to drizzle this with some oil. And you've got to make sure everything's coated. That's also key. All right. And I think for this one, I'm going to use thyme. You know, as Jamaican, we put thyme and pimento in everything, darling. Thyme and pimento. So I'm going to just sprinkle. Guys, that's maybe about 1/4 of a teaspoon, 1/8 of a teaspoon. You don't need a lot, right? You do not need a lot. Okay, and the name of the game is to make sure everything is thoroughly coated with oil. And it is. Yay! Great. All right, guys, so everything's coated. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the hot pan, because it truly is hot, out of the oven. I'm going to put the garlic in as well. Okay, there's my pan, my roasting pan, that has been heated up to 425 in the oven. I'm going to place, and you can hear it sizzle. You hear that, guys? Oh, you can't even see what I'm doing. Okay. There's my sizzle. And that's what I'm looking for. The sizzle. Put my potatoes down. And really, you can just put them all in. I'm just a little bit pedantic like this. So I just like everything in order. And that's what you're looking for, that sizzle. It's already started its process, you know. It's already started to sear and to cook. And that's what you're looking for. Right, and we're going to put this in. And we're going to allow this to cook for maybe about 20 minutes or so. I'm going to check it in about 20. One of the things that is really important to try to keep the sizing the same for vegetables that are going to cook up at the same time. So I'm going to pour the rest, I'm going to drizzle the rest of the oil on. And that tin with that baking sheet is hot. It is hot. I'm going to put my garlic in. I'm going to squeeze him in right there. All right, so I'll put my garlic in. And I really do need him to stand up, preferably if he would stand up. That would be really helpful. But okay, so my garlic's in. So I'm going to transfer this back into a 425 degree oven. And I'm going to check this in, I'm going to say about 10, 15, max 20 minutes. Top shelf. While that is cooking, I'm actually going to use the same bowl. Still got a bit of thyme in it. And I'm going to put the carrots, the squash, the butternut squash, the parsnips, and the Brussels sprouts. I'm going to put those in. I'm going to drizzle it with a little bit more oil. Drizzle with a little bit more oil. All right. And then I'm actually going to use and this is the Italian herbs or Italian seasoning. I'm going to use that. And again, maybe about 1/4 teaspoon, a couple of shakes. I forgot to salt the other one. I'm also going to put a little bit of salt on this. And we're just going to give this a nice mix up. And this will be ready to go in. And I'm going to do the same thing, guys. I'm literally going to put them in together. All the carrots together, the squash together, the Brussels sprouts together, so that they're all in a nice row, and it gives you control. It gives you control over what you're doing. So I will be right back when I get ready to put my Brussels sprouts, parsnips, carrots, and butternut squash in. Okay guys, the timer went off, and remember the tray's really hot. The importance of cutting things roughly the same size. Okay? This is already tender. It's not done by any stretch of the imagination, but it's already tender, and it's smaller than the other potatoes. But that being said, guys, I just wanted to share that with you. These are cooking up really nicely. So now we're going to put the parsnips on. And again, like I said, guys, I like to line everything up. It's just who I am. I'm going to put my carrots on. There's one more carrot. Make sure you count. See, that's my timer telling me it's time. Okay. All right. And then let's put the Brussels sprouts. And I'm putting the Brussels sprouts face down first. And I'm going to show you what's going to happen, because these are really small. These are tiny. I'm sorry, I've got that overhead light on again. These are really small. And so I'm going to show you how it cooks up and what happens. Or hopefully it will do what I want it to do. Now we'll put the squash on. Our squash. This is our butternut squash. And then we're going to flip everything, or we're going to flip that, the harder vegetables, in about another 10 minutes. We're going to flip them over. All right, guys. So that's that. And let's see what's going on the underside. Nothing much going on under here. And so then we'll flip that in about 10 minutes. Again, we're going to prep. We're going to prep these vegetables. I'm not going to put anything too much on this. Just a little bit of oil and a little bit of salt. And I won't actually, salt and black pepper. And I won't actually do that. I won't actually salt these until I get ready to put them into the oven, because the salt will start drawing fluid. It will start drawing out moisture from the zucchini, from the pepper, from the onions, etc. So I will salt those when I get ready to put them in, and we'll be right back. I'm going to flip the potatoes. But before I do that, I couldn't find my spritzer, but I'm just going to give it a little drizzle, because I was going to spritz it with oil. But I'm just going to give it a little drizzle. That's more than a little drizzle, guys. And now I'm going to add some salt to this. And remember, the tray's really hot. I'm going to flip these over. I'm going to flip these as much as possible. Flip them over. I am going to add a little bit of oil, a dash of oil, and if you have a spritzer, guys, that'll actually make it that much better. If you have a spritzer, a little bit of oil, some black pepper, and some Himalayan pink salt. And that's it, a couple of turns. I'm gonna mix that up. Right, and we're gonna put the potatoes in. sorry, the bell peppers in. Bell peppers. They're in. Zucchini. Zucchini. And I'm going to put my onions over here. And guys, that goes in for the duration. We'll check this in another 10 minutes or so. Okay guys, I've taken this out of the oven and then I realized that I didn't actually have my microphone on. Well, I took this out of the oven and I just flipped, I actually flipped everything with the exception of the capsicums or the bell peppers and the squash. I flipped everything. Brussels sprouts, etc. The parsnips, the carrots, the sweet potatoes. I just flipped everything. And everything is just about done. I'm gonna put it back into the oven for another 5 to 7 minutes. I'm looking at closer to 7 minutes. It'll start giving a bit of caramelization. But again, for me, I don't want everything turned to mush. I don't like it like that. And yeah, I'll be right back. Okay guys, everything actually is done. It's nice, it's tender. If you like yours to be a little bit more caramelized than this, then you can leave it in for another 5 minutes. But this works for me, especially as I'm going to be putting this into a sauce. I'm going to make a rundown, like a Jamaican rundown sauce, and have that over rice. I'm going to make a Buddha bowl actually. But yeah, everything's done, guys. So this works for me. It smells absolutely gorgeous. It does. It smells absolutely delicious. It really does. But that's it. These are the vegetables. They're looking good, if I say so myself. Nice and colourful. And again, for all of you who follow me, you know I don't like soft and squishy vegetables. But they're tender. Everything's cooked, guys. Everything's cooked, including the garlic. Let me grab a fork here. And the garlic's done. And the oil that it makes, you can definitely use this. But I want you to see, I'm going to do a little close-up. I'm going to come in a little closer. Because I want you to see, guys, how soft the garlic is. It turns to a butter. It turns to a butter. Actually, it's still very, very hot. It's trying to get away. Too late. Look at this, guys. It turns to a butter. Actually, let me do it this way. Right. Garlic butter. Absolutely lovely. Absolutely lovely. It turns into a little paste. Absolutely lovely. And again, the oil that's left in the container. The oil that's left in the container, you can use this to cook with. I'm going to use this oil to make the rundown. And I'm going to take this garlic and I'm going to put it in a jar. Actually, I'm going to use some of it today, actually, in this. And then I'm going to put it in the jar. But guys, yeah, this is it. Roast vegetables, guys, this is it. I really love them. If you want your veggies more caramelized, you can actually increase the heat, the temperature, and or you can leave them in longer. But for me, this is just perfect. It's just right. I'm Dr. Wendy Dearborne. I hope that you have enjoyed this. And what I'll do is I'll shoot you guys a picture of what my Jamaican rundown Buddha bowl looks like. So guys, until next time, bon appetit. Come on, guys. Let's eat. Okay, guys, this is the end result of the roasted vegetables that I did. I created a Buddha bowl. These are all my roast vegetables here. I have some Brussels sprouts. That's the onions. That's garlic. That's actually beets. Yeah, it's going on. I had some avocado. I added some avocado and some cucumber and some tomatoes. And guys, it smells good. I know it's gonna taste absolutely delicious. So this is it. roasted vegetables. And I made a Jamaica rundown Buddha bowl.